So I've been with the company just over 8 years now. I started in 2014 when it was just myself and the design team. We've now got a team of 4 in-house designers and engineers, with more resource spread across the group. Got a really fantastic base of knowledge and experience to draw from. Myself, I've always, since a young age, been obsessed with taking things apart, putting them back together, sometimes unsuccessfully, and just figuring out how they work and understanding them better. On the other side, I grew up pretty heavily obsessed with video games, so moving into a professional area like 3D CAD, for example, was a kind of logical progression of that, and those two things came together to put me where I am now. I think choosing one from however many hundreds of projects I've been involved in the last 8 years is very difficult, but one that really stood out, we were approached by a Dutch startup tech company called Air Labs, who had developed an air scrubbing filter technology to clean air in cities and urban spaces. And they wanted to launch that technology at the Space to Breathe exhibition in Somerset House in London. So we actually developed a modular seating unit that enclosed their fans and hid their function away, but allowed people to sit and enjoy the exhibition while enclosed in a bubble of fresh air. From a craft point of view, it was one of the most heavily detailed and crafted projects I think we've ever really done, and I hope to see more of those out in the street. I would imagine that most designers would probably have to agree that the most rewarding part of the job is the unique aspect that our ideas and our solutions to problems go on to be manufactured or handcrafted or machine made into real tangible objects that affect people's lives, hopefully for the better. But just things you can interact with on a daily basis. It's very rewarding to walk down the street anywhere in the country and be able to look at a piece of street furniture and say, I designed that. Whether you're proud of it or not, it's something that you've taken part of. Given the nature of the role itself, you're also forced to continuously learn, because you always have to be ahead of trends, ahead of technology that's emerging on the market, and keeping up with your main customers, in our cases, big contractors and architects as well, who are doing the same. Seating is always a really interesting product type to work on within street furniture. In towns and cities, the seating is always the centre of attention. It's put right in there. It's there to help people. Elderly and disabled people use public seating to traverse urban spaces that they might otherwise struggle with, so making sure that we have met the ergonomic requirements for those people before the product goes out the door is a very important thing to do. But also, seating encompasses the full gamut of design factors, whether it's ergonomics or form, materials and finishes, and the engineering and the structural side of it. It's all included in that one product that is the most touch and interacted with product type in street furniture. So yeah, that's always a fun challenge. Sketching will always be important, no matter how clever digital tools become. I'm notorious for getting upset with my team for trying to develop products in CAD, because it's slow, it's inefficient, and it doesn't give you that flexibility to be creative and come up with the multiple ideas you should be having before settling down a particular route. I think a lot of people, even designers, have a fear of drawing for fear of being judged, that their artistic ability doesn't meet some standard. But at the end of the day, we sketch to communicate an idea. You could create a beautifully marker rendered or digitally shaded picture of a seat or a bench, for example, but you could actually communicate the same details and the same ideas just with a couple of lines on a piece of paper, and that's where the real skill is. I sketch every single day, whether it be for work or rearranging the furniture in my garden. The first thing I'll do is put a pen on paper and just work through some ideas, and that's a very important process. Our general design process at Bailey's, I think, is fairly typical of any manufacturer of our type. We tend to receive a brief from our client or from internal stakeholders in the group. We'll use that to form a specification which everyone can agree on and work from as a base, and then work through a process of ideation with sketching, soft modelling, prototyping in the workshop, speaking to suppliers, ordering in samples of parts and materials, through to fabrication drawings using 3D and 2D CAD. We use SolidWorks, and eventually working with our manufacturing partners to bring those new products to life, make sure that they are appropriate and feasible for manufacture. And then beyond that, obviously we work on feedback that we receive, feedback from our assembly teams, our installation teams, and also our customers. We really want to continually improve, and every time we work on a standard product, we always incrementally improve and change some minor detail to make it better for one party or the other. So it never ends, essentially. It never ends. So, although our products are generally labelled as street furniture, we operate within the construction industry, and that's an industry that grows and evolves at such an astronomical rate. We have to make sure that we're doing our work to keep up and remain relevant. At a base level, we have invested in 3D CAD state-of-the-art systems across the team. We also have the ability now to create photorealistic imagery, animations and walkthroughs for our customers to create a more compelling proposal. Externally to the business, of course, the world is unrecognisable now than it was a couple of years ago. Following COVID, people are socially reinvigorated, wanting to spend more time in social urban spaces, and local authorities are really recognising this and investing heavily in improving the quality of those spaces. One of the ways that we've reacted to that change is to launch our Inspira modular planting product, whose sole aim is to bring green space and biodiversity into those spaces where it wasn't there before, improving air quality, improving people's mental health, but also creating natural barriers and flows within those towns that they couldn't achieve before. Unfortunately, we also have a consistent threat of terrorism in this country, and hostile vehicle mitigation is going to become prevalent in the next few years. With Protect Duty hopefully coming into law in 2023, that will mandate local authorities and councils to provide safety barriers of various kinds for their public. We have been working very hard throughout 2022, designing and testing a range of products that we hope visually fit seamlessly into the urban landscape, but also offer increased protection against vehicle attacks, so protecting people, protecting infrastructure, and hopefully also providing some attractive furniture at the same time. Sustainability and environmental factors in design have always been really important to me personally, and I try as hard as I can to instill this across my team and also the wider business. So when we're going through a project for a client, for example, we might spend days, weeks, even months sometimes poring over the very, very minute details of how the product or products go together and how they're manufactured. So we've got that perspective to identify opportunities where we can, for example, design for disassembly. We can design for reuse and repair, which is very important to us and our customers. And also look at the sourcing of alternative materials that come from more responsible sources, and generally just try to lower the impact and the embodied energy in each of those products. And where we can't do that, we want to engineer them so they're going to last for as long as possible, so we're not looking at replacing things in 5 to 10 years before their life cycle has really come to an end. The entire design team at Bailey's are trained product designers, so we all have a keen eye for colour, material, finish, ergonomics, but also we have a good understanding of the engineering, the real fundamental nuts and bolts side of the products that we design. We try as best we can to keep everything within the guidelines of the Equalities Act, If we receive a brief from a customer, for example, that we believe contravenes the well-established ergonomic principles that it sets out, and just common sense as well, then we will tend to block the project until we can fully understand why certain decisions have been made. We really like to ask why in the design team. If there's any particularly unusual choices that we believe a customer has made, we will ask why before progressing with that project. And more often than not, that will send a chain reaction of whys going all the way back to the original project designer, causing them to rethink based on the question that we have asked and the recommendations we've put forward. The recent growth of our business and the formation of the Bailey Street Furniture Group have afforded us an equal increase in our design capacity as was needed. So we've got new members of the team bringing diverse ranges of skills, and we've also recently partnered with CyclePods, giving us another 2 design team members whose experience we can draw upon. I sincerely hope in the future we can all work in closer alignment to have a strong collaborative design team across the group. COVID home working, of course, has introduced us to new IT tools that we can use to communicate. I myself now work full-time remotely on the other side of the country to the main office for Bailey's, and due to the technologies that we have adopted, it's an incredibly streamlined and efficient process. And if anything, I actually communicate with my team more than I did when I was in the office, which is very strange. The industry we operate within in construction requires projects to run to building information modelling level 2 currently, and we are getting more and more requests internally for CAD or product data sets that contain the right level of information to meet these requirements for our customers. Now we've come up with methods of supplying this, and we've changed some of our approach to our design projects to be able to supply this information. But internally we still operate really at level 0. So one of the big things we want to do as a collaborative group in the future is align ourselves with the BIM level 2 requirements and obviously keep up when those levels increase. Whether this be training for our staff, investment in new software and potentially new staff to use it. We know how important that is if we want to continue the increase in our being specified in the early stages of a project and our increasing collaboration with our customers.